welcome in everybody to the MHRT podcast. We are the number one fan-led Broncos-based podcast in the world. That's all I got to say. I'm speaking it into existence. I'm your host, Mundungus Creevy, alongside my co-host, the 6'10" Mexican, Mr. Boggins, and Glenn Hauser. We go live every Thursday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Now, a few announcements before class begins. The Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast has joined the MHRT family, and we are very honored and very excited to see what they can do. So yay to them. Yay. Also, next week is going to be a crazy week because it's draft week. So our schedule is going to be a little bit different. Sunday will be the very first live podcast of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue on the MHRT platform. So that's pretty exciting. On Tuesday, the MHRT podcast, Glenn and Mr. Boggins are joining Orange Weekly's Kevin and Tanner, and they're going to be teaming up to do a live mock draft at the normal Broncos talk time, 7654. More details to come on that when I decide that I want to tell you. Wednesday is when we're going to put Broncos talk with 6'10" and Rich, and they're just going to be their normal Broncos talk podcast. Normal time, 7654. And then on Thursday, on draft day, we're going to have a post-draft podcast. So the MHRT podcast is going to be jumping on after the first round is completed and doing a live reaction podcast to the first round of the draft once it's completed. So that's the lesson.
Can you write it all down and email it to me?
I wrote it all down right there.
Wait, what was the third thing you said? I missed it.
I have no idea.
Who are you people?
I don't know. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty crazy next week, but it's going to be awesome because it's draft week and we're all excited for the draft. So it's going to be cool. I had all this stuff planned out with Orange Weekly. I was so excited. It took like weeks to get all this stuff put together, and then I found out that my kids have a school concert on Tuesday and I can't do it. So now I'm mad. But Glenn's going to step in for me, which is going to be awesome. So Glenn and Kevin are going to host, and then Boggins and Tanner are going to do the mock draft, and it's going to be like a first through 32nd pick. The whole first round they're gonna do a mock draft for, and then it's going to be rounds 2 through 7 just Broncos picks. So it's going to be pretty cool. I think it'll be fun, and then we get to see Broncos talk the next day, and then draft the next day, and all that is after we have the first episode of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. So it's a nutty week. It's going to be fun.
Trading up to the first overall pick to get Najee Harris.
That is perfect.
I've already been practicing to take over for you on Tuesday night. So I've been my volume has increased about tenfold.
That's all you got to do.
And I watched the Harry Potter marathon.
You got to scream as much as possible and have a sorting hat behind you, and then you're good to go.
You need books. You need books, Glenn.
Just hair on the face. I don't have much hair on my head.
You should just get the beard things.
The beard.
Get the stash that curls up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's going to be good. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get into the news that is around the NFL.
Look, Ma, no hands.
No hands, Ma. Let's see here. Right? So it looks like Tom Brady is not all that excited about the rule expanding the uniform numbers. I don't really understand why that's a problem. Like, what's wrong with expanding the numbers?
There's not. I mean, except for the fans that don't like it. But Bradley Chubb
on
Instagram, Jerry Jeudy is like teasing people about going back to number 4, and Bradley Chubb underneath the picture said, "Don't worry, everybody. He's going to refund all of those jerseys."
Well, was it Hamler that put on number 1?
Right.
Yeah. Someone photoshopped it, I think, but I don't know if he posted it himself.
I mean, I could definitely see like having an issue with it with jersey sales. Like if people own your jersey and then you change your number, I get that.
Interesting because Hamler, if we get Justin Fields is number 1, and then have KJ Hamler.
Fields would get that number.
They're gonna fight.
Just saying.
Does that rule exclude retired numbers?
They wouldn't issue retired.
Right.
Yeah, you can't, whether they change the rules or not. Like retired numbers, retired numbers.
Numbers. Okay,
So,
I just wanted to make sure.
Like Manning had to go through
Charlie Johnson.
Yeah, Charlie Johnson to get 18.
Yeah, Lindsey went through Trevor
Davis,
Davis.
which 30 is not retired, but he asked anyways, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think they should, but
maybe Tom Brady's mad because the linebackers can have, or the cornerbacks can have numbers that are similar to wide receivers, and he's just kind of looking for that 50 or that 53. Oh, that's my guy. Oh, dang.
If we get
Albert, this is not recorded. I mean, it's recording while we're live, and then we can replay it. But we're live. Hi.
As long as nobody wears number 7, I'm happy.
Yeah. See, Fields would win that battle against Hamler. All he's going to say is, all right, you take number 1, and I will never pass to you.
Be a fantasy.
Oh, let's see. Geno Smith resigned as a backup quarterback for the Seahawks. Who cares?
News?
Seahawks have worse.
There's not a whole lot of news going on. Like it's the week before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the biggest news would be Alex Smith retiring, which sucks. Oh, yeah. I was about as sad to see him retire as I was with Fitzpatrick signing to another team. But that's because I liked how they fit as a backup quarterback. But can't do a whole lot now.
He had nothing left to prove, though. That's just an amazing story.
Well, and I kept hearing, like, why would you want to get Alex Smith? Him and Drew Lock have nothing in common. And it's like, I didn't know that Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes were so compatible with their playing styles. Who cares who he plays like? They're
not. That's why they shipped him out immediately.
Yeah, he would have been an amazing.
Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He would have been. I thought Alex Smith would have been a great mentor.
Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson.
There you go.
Joe Flacco and anybody.
Those guys play so much alike. Why are we cupcakes?
See, now I'm hungry.
Bald is beautiful.
No,
I got.
I appreciate that.
Hey, I know that guy.
That's a nice caricature you got there, Johnny.
Johnny Baki rhymes with
Johnny's
Taki.
nice enough that he's actually going to let me have some of his beard for my hair transplant.
Johnny's a little sick, so he's up chucking while he's texting.
Mm-hmm. Glenn's the only one that doesn't have a beard now, and all of our podcasts.
We all, yeah. You got to grow it out.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
It's gonna take Glenn like a day, and he'll be like,
"Hey, didn't you guys get snow up there, Glenn, recently?"
We did the other day, but it's gonna be 70.
I know that there's not a lot to talk about, but we're not gonna talk about the weather. I'm letting you know that right now.
Don just found the subject more boring than Geno Smith resigning.
I'd rather talk about the weather than that guy. So
it's news, so I talked about it. So let's get into it then. The biggest Broncos news so far, I'd say, is the voluntary OTAs. We had 20 players show up. We had Reisner, Glasgow, Locke, Miller. Do we know if Chubb and who else was all showed up?
I don't know if Chubb. All the guys that definitely had the bonuses, the workout bonuses, all those guys showed up, but. Yeah, I think it was 22, 24, something like that.
Yeah, it was a low number.
Art thou worthy?
There was a video that was uploaded where DeMarcus Ware was training with Bradley Chubb. I don't know if it was in Denver or if Chubb was in Dallas, but it's if DeMarcus Ware can help turn Bradley Chubb around like he did when he was on the team and help Von Miller get back on the righteous path, I guess you could say, then Bradley Chubb is in for a really big season in 2021 if he stays healthy.
Didn't DeMarcus Ware get hired as like a linebacker coach, not like an independent, kind of like a quarterback coach, like Gordon Palmer?
Mm-hmm. He helps out the team a lot. I think he does also with the Cowboys somewhat. I think, but I think I don't know if he gets paid with us. I mean, probably. I would expect so, but. I know that he does help a lot with the pass rushers, and he's there on the sidelines a couple years back, as like a not even a coach, but like a I don't know what you call it, just
advisor?
One of those guys,
advisor,
sack advisor, a sack advisor,
yeah.
We want to welcome in Muhammad Badri, Albert Knoppers, Landon Clark, Travis Bruley, Bob Skinner. Bob. Hi, Bob. I don't think you've been in here before.
Hey, Bob.
Welcome to the madness, my friend. Tim Durr. That's what my caricature picture looks like. Durr. Vic. Johnny. I'm trying. So Muhammad is the one that always helps us with our hashtags. That just sounds mean. Like what's that one for?
Mercy.
I have a hashtag for this week. I'm trying to start a trend. Everyone start the trend. Stonewall Payton. Hashtag Stonewall Payton.
That's all
What's happening.
Stonewall.
He doesn't give an inch. He doesn't let you know anything of what he's actually doing. Stonewall Payton.
Well, and we were talking about it before we came on. It was like with his presser today. Like he said a lot without saying anything. Kind of like he does in every presser. Like he said that he had not called about the fourth pick, but a couple weeks earlier there was an interview where he said that they had talked to people about the fourth overall pick and what it would take to trade up. Mm-hmm. Just because he didn't make the phone call doesn't mean someone else didn't make the phone call. Doesn't mean they didn't talk to people when they were at pro days. So just he's talking a lot while saying nothing.
He's if he had a song, it would be Alison Krauss. You say it best when you say nothing at
all. First question, Travis Bruley. What are your thoughts about drafting a linebacker?
Yes. Next question.
Yeah, I definitely think we should draft a linebacker. I think I am off of Micah Parsons. I'm not denying his talent. I'm realizing all the other issues that he has, which are no. I'm a big fan of it's either Jamin or Jamin or Jamin, however you say his first name. Davis.
Jimin from BTS.
Jamin. Jamin Davis is the linebacker that I like. And we'll probably have to get him in the first. I don't know if he's going to fall in the second.
Yeah, it was interesting. Nick Kendall and I were having a conversation earlier today because Albright said that Micah Parsons would be more of a will linebacker than
a Mike,
which it's weird because his body type and the way he plays, you'd suggest a Mike, but he doesn't have the competency to play call, so he wouldn't be. So he'd be in the will backer position, which is more of a coverage backer, and it'd be like in his like a drop zone, which is what Fangio usually plays for those backers, which is a little better than just like full on cover and run with him. But he's also not good at coverage, so it's he makes up so much because of his athleticism, which is the troubling part about it. It's hard to place him and what he can do because he will mistime things, but it doesn't matter because he's so fast, he'll catch up. So and then you can't put him at edge because he has no edge technique at all. So it's just like confusing. It's just like depends on what you can do with them, I guess. It's weird with the two top linebackers in Owusu and Micah's because like it just depends on where you see them fitting, I guess. But then plus the off the field stuff. So
yeah. Jason O'Neill, his presser and what could happen come draft time was as clear as mud. Hashtag Stonewall Payton.
You expect anything less? Hashtag Stonewall Payton.
Albert, Payton is a master wordsmith by revealing nothing.
I could listen to him all day. I find that guy just so fascinating. Albert has hit the nail on the head. I mean, just the way he parses words is just perfect. He's probably telling the truth, but because they've set things up or the way he's phrased it, it's not telling the story. So.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Henderson, the other half of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue with Johnny. What's up, gents? Payton is really scared to get rid of Drew and have him reach his potential with some other team. I will not disagree with that.
Payton isn't afraid of anything. He's Stonewall Payton.
Stonewall Payton.
Hashtag Stonewall Payton.
And we came out months ago saying that Drew Lock's not going to be off the team. The only way they get rid of Drew Lock is if they have like a guaranteed upgrade at quarterback. And the closest that we got this offseason was Matt Stafford. That was it. There was no danger of Lock going anywhere. Maybe Deshaun Watson, but that's not going to happen. Other than that, yeah, he's not going to go anywhere. So
Well, I mean, if you want to take Drew Lock into a little bit more of a consideration, there was a video I saw from our good friend Colin Coward, who once again he's not exactly on the Broncos train, but it seems like he's watching it a lot closer than he'd love to admit. When in his rant about Drew Lock, he pretty much called him an action trailer, where he says when you see a movie trailer, you usually see all the funny or the good parts. And then if you watch the movie, after you've seen all the parts you see in the trailer, the rest of the movie, it's boring or it sucks or what have you. So it's kind of, so he compared that to Derek Carr, where he said Derek Carr, if you watch the whole movie, is really better than what you see in the trailer. So I guess he basically said he's the anti-Drew Lock, if that makes sense. I mean, his whole rant didn't make any sense to me. He's just trying to stick to his guns about him not liking Drew Lock because Drew Lock likes to dance when he scores. But I totally agree with you, Mike, on that point, that the only way Drew Lock gets replaced is if he goes out there and he starts showing, visions of what he did last year and there's no improvement, or he totally bombs, or he gets injured. And if the Broncos get another quarterback in the draft, they're more than likely going to come in and they're going to have a really good show, and it'll more than likely be curtains for Drew Lock.
Yeah. There you go, Boggins. Are moving up to pick 4 and select Fields. And if we do, that means you're getting me a shirt or some slippers. Because I bet Boggins, was it like 2-3 weeks ago, that Denver would move up to pick 3 or 4. Well, it was before the Niners moved up to 3. Is when we made that bet. So obviously they're not moving up to 3, but they can still move up to 4. And then whips, and then I can get slippers or a shirt. So you think Denver moves up to 4 and gets Fields?
I would no, but I would like it just to secure the spot. But I think Denver likes Fields. But what I've heard is that they like the rest of the staff likes Fields more than Lance, but Peyton apparently is the one that likes Lance. But I think they overall like Fields the most, and I think that they would make sure that he's there at 4, that the 49ers don't take him before they moved up to 4. But I also don't know who else is going to move all the way up to 4 to get to draft a quarterback, because if you're like the Patriots or the Redskins, not the Redskins, the Washington football team, that's moving up quite a bit. That's a lot of draft capital move from what Patriots are 15, I think, and the Patriots also haven't traded up in the first round since 1984. So,
well, and we also talked about this before we came on. Was, right now it doesn't really matter if we've contacted anybody about the 4th pick, anyways, because we have no idea who the Niners are going to take at 3. Yeah. Like if they take Mac Jones, it's a whole different ball game. If they don't, so. You can't. There's not a whole lot you can do about moving up to 4 right now because you have no idea who the Niners are going to take.
Yeah, and all those reports of like Mac Jones, like it's Mac Jones, like
dude, it's gone nuts.
There's a lot, but I mean, they were still at all of those pro days, every single one of them. You know who wasn't? The Jags and the Jets. The Jags and the Jets know exactly who they're picking. Yeah, the 49ers are still doing their excessive due diligence, making sure they know exactly who they traded up to the 3rd overall pick for. So I don't know. It's going to be I would say my best guess is that if we do trade up for a quarterback, it'll probably be like up to 7 or something right before the Panthers, because you don't want to take the risk with the Panthers still, even though they have Sam Darnold, they very well could still, like if Justin Fields falls into their lap, I'm sure they just grab him,
And one thing George did say at the meeting at the press conference today was that a trade like that will not occur before the draft itself. It's one thing for the Niners to be able to do that because they knew they were guaranteed someone that they loved. But when you're at 4, you may not be guaranteed that person. So you have to wait until you see how the dominoes fall, those first 3 picks. Yeah. One of the Sports Illustrated writers, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he was on Dan Patrick the other day, and he was going to be interviewing the he's getting no, it was no, I think it was James Palmer actually. I'm sorry, from NFL Network. He's going to be down in Jacksonville for the draft, and they asked him. He goes, "When's the pick going to be available to chat the next day?" And they go, "Oh, Trevor's going to be here at 2:00." So they're not even trying to hide what's going on. So.
Yeah. Mark, what do you have to give up for that? To move up to 4? If it's Denver, it's what, 400 points, 450 points?
I think
it's like a second round pick.
2,600 for is the worth of 4, and I think 1,800 is our current worth. So probably this year's first, next year's first, maybe a second or third, maybe.
And like
what about like a Deshaun Hamilton or something? Do you think he has any sort of value as a throw?
I mean,
he has value.
Yeah, it could be.
But it would be.
Well, I think it was when I was on Nothing Rhymes, we were talking about potentially doing like if we don't get a quarterback in the draft, doing like a Gardner Minshew, Deshaun Hamilton swap.
Yeah, sure.
yeah, sure.
It doesn't matter at that point. Like if we don't get a quarterback in the top, we're riding with whatever Drew Lock's ceiling is. Mediocrity, maybe, hopefully.
You heard it here first. Don't yell at me.
I'm just being real, man.
Yeah, Mike didn't do his diplomatic statement to start the show, and Boggins just blew that out of the water.
That's fine. That's fine. Whatever. The Wiz is going to be the new OC and Glenn, our QB coach. Oof. We're going to run a lot.
You know what's great?
What's the play call? Run right. That's the play.
I like that idea.
How about
they say that the OC is going to get fired and the QB coach is going to get the OC's job.
For all the Lock haters, if Drew Lock throws 30 touchdowns this next year, I will wear like kitty face paint during a podcast.
Save it. Mark it. Mark that. Mark that. No, I don't. I don't.
30.
I don't. My problem is not that he throws 30 touchdowns. It's that he throws 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. That's my word. But at the same time, and again, this is if he plays like he did last year. If he plays like he did last year, he's not gonna. I don't think he'll make it through the first 4 games. But that's all depending on if we actually have a quarterback to back him up. I'm not saying that Rippon is terrible, but I think we all can agree that Rippon is probably not a starting quarterback. He could be a really good backup, but I don't think he could be. I just don't think he could be a starting quarterback. I love the guy, but we gotta be honest.
Well, he does have that one win against the Jets to his accord, right? So that's something.
The legend of Rippon.
And, and the Broncos didn't have to pay him as much money as they paid Jeff Driscoll to try to go out and beat the Steelers, which he couldn't do, lost by 5, and then he got embarrassed by Tom Brady. So, and who knows what would have happened if Drew Lock didn't come back that following week against the Patriots.
Yeah. Albert, Minshew has less games than Lock under his belt, right? I think it's about close. I think it's really close.
For this past season, I think.
Because he was benched twice.
Minshew got benched for what was his name, Mike Glennon, and then they were just rotating him, and they just couldn't get a rhythm right. Plus, Jacksonville was in a losing competition with the Jets to try to see who would be the worst team for the number 1 pick.
The only thing that, and I said it when I was talking to Nothing Rhymes. The only thing that intrigues me about Minshew is that he was able to do more
games
with less. Like you can't sit there and tell me that Jacksonville's roster is anywhere close to Denver's roster, and he was still able to go 6-6. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying he's the next great quarterback, but there's definitely something there that we could possibly get out of him or see.
You know how hard it is to run away from a linebacker wearing Daisy Dukes? Gardner Minshew can do that.
Dress like he's still in the 80s.
You guys want to feel
no. I don't want to feel any. I don't want to feel anything.
So
That's the
It's
worst segue I've ever heard.
Emotionally, physically, I want to feel
sorry.
nothing.
Sorry. Everyone's talking about how much they don't want Gardner Minshew, or like, why would
Who
you
said
want
that?
Gardner Minshew? Like, plenty of people that don't want like to back up, because Drew Lock's our quarterback. Drew Lock is definitely. You compare the stats, and it's like, I would take Minshew over Drew Lock.
Well,
and
this is the thing that okay, I'm going to go into my my political statement here. Anytime we talk about getting a current quarterback other than a first round pick, is to replace Driscoll. So if we're talking about getting Minshew, it's Minshew as backup. If they have a quarterback competition and he wins, sorry, he won. But I'm not sitting here saying that like Minshew is better than Locke. I don't know. I have no idea. But I would much rather have a Minshew on the team as a backup just in case something doesn't work, whether it's Locke fails or Locke gets hurt or something else happens. I feel much more comfortable because as a fan, I never want to not win a game. Like, I always want to win as many games as possible. And I believe that Minshew would win us more games than Rippon would if something were to happen to Locke. That's why I would want Minshew. One
thing last year taught us was that you need a good number two. You
always need a good number two.
That sounds like Mike's pre-show routine.
Oh.
But
after hours,
weather, poop, like how much other stuff can we talk about in the podcast?
Oh, Jesus.
But when Drew got hurt, we were doomed. There was no. I mean, Rippon almost blew that game against the Jets. We were very fortunate. Jerry Jeudy saved him on that touchdown pass. He almost threw 4 interceptions. I know that I'm saying almost, but it was very, very close to even going south of what it did. So we do need to, and Paton was talking about competition. He said, we have other opportunities from which to derive this other quarterback. It could be, through a trade. It could be a trade after another team picks up a quarterback and gets rid of their existing team, QB. So or it could be from the draft, but we have to shore up that quarterback room. So when we're saying this stuff about Drew Lock, and I know I'm repeating myself from last week, it's not necessarily saying that he's not the guy. What it's definitely saying is that we need guys, and because there's too much talent on this team to have a crappy backup, and just you'd be doomed every time something happens to Drew. He's been hurt the first 2 years of his career.
Yeah.
Agree.
I wasn't paying attention. Say Minshew when you sneeze.
Minshew.
I know that's true.
Bring in the stash and the mullet. Glenn, that's what you need to get, a stash and a mullet.
I'll go on Amazon.
That's what we need to do.
I'll have it by tomorrow.
I'm waiting for the delivery van. What are you waiting for, sir? I'm ashamed to admit.
One of the things that is interesting is the possibility of Mac Jones, because there's so many people that are torn right down the middle. Like, he's either not that good or he's really good. He's like the most NFL ready quarterback, or he's already reached the ceiling and he's terrible. If let's say Denver stays at 9 and you've got Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, and Lance off the board, do you think that it would be worth getting Mac Jones in the first? Not necessarily at 9, but at any point in the first. Or do you think he should go before Mond and Mills?
Yeah.
Okay, and Mond and Mills are like early second, mid second. So then you'd think that Mac Jones would probably be a late first. Do you think that if those 4 quarterbacks are off and Denver trades back, that Mac Jones is an option, or not at all?
I think if we're trading back, it's because someone's moving up for Mac Jones. I think like the Bears or the Redskins or the Patriots.
We don't have Redskins.
Not the Red. Gosh. football teams.
The
Just change it to
football
the
team.
what were one of their options? The Rubies.
The Rubies. The
They've had a lot
Sentinels,
of weird.
the
Like, didn't they send out like a
Generals,
tweet
Yeah.
with like they sent out a tweet with name options. It was like Red Tails,
yeah, they were all
senators,
taken.
presidents.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wouldn't mind Red Tails. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And Red Wolves. Red Wolves was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought insurrections was the worst. I didn't like it. I'm gonna go with that.
Oh boy.
Moving along,
Yeah.
Glenn.
But if in a weird circumstance where Mac Jones was towards the end of the first round, would the Denver Broncos pick him? Yeah, I guess because if we move back, we picked up more draft capital. So yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't like love it, but it's a better value. I would take it at a late first round pick rather than, but I don't think unlikely.
What do you think of the possibility of trading back with the Bears? The Bears and getting and having Roquan Smith be part of it. So
I don't, because I think there's a lot of this draft is very deep with linebacker, and I don't think they'd want to pick up a contract instead of just drafting a high potential linebacker, even though Roquan's good, but I don't know if it really equates out.
Yeah.
I agree with Boggins.
Jason O'Neill, the skepticism is starting to set in for me with Locke. I want him to ball out and be the guy, but it's not like he hasn't played enough. Whether it was college, now NFL, silly mistakes are maddening. I don't disagree. And there's this whole party of Locke stands and then Locke haters. We are neither. We're all pretty much down the middle. Like we're not hating on the guy, but we're being realistic about what he's shown us. And what he's shown right now is that he's not that elite NFL quarterback. So it's not like we don't believe he can get better. It's just how much better can he get? Like when we first drafted him, it was like, oh, he could be a top 10 quarterback. By what he's shown, I don't know if his ceiling is that high anymore. So it's not that I don't believe in the guy. It's that if I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, I would want to go get or take a shot on a quarterback that has the potential of being that top 10 quarterback.
And we're giving him a Rolls Royce to drive. Like, if you don't, if you can't get, I mean, I know there's no such thing as like 500 now because 17th game. But
you either suck or you good.
Yeah,
that's it.
But gosh, we better at least get to 7.5 or no,
7.5.
9, 8.5.
There you go.
8.5. We better get to 8.5 wins.
Well,
God, we got a roster.
So, and I believe that most people that are skeptical or cautiously optimistic, whatever you want to call what we're talking about being, is for some reason they're
optimistic.
Skeptically optimistic. Hashtag Stonewall optimistic, but are being deemed the haters, but we're not being haters. We're being realists. And one of the things that really kind of stuck out for me is the other day I saw that one of the gambling lines was at 7.5 wins for the over under. Now that's probably where Boggins got the 7.5. Now, these guys are the experts. They're not going to vary from what. Rarely do you see them make a massive error in what they're predicting first. Well, I think they're mainly predicting that because of the uncertainty at the quarterback position. And so that tells me that maybe we should pay a little bit more attention to that and look for some solid options one way or the other.
Yeah, I think that the GM is going to try to find a way to light the fire underneath Drew, whether it's getting another quarterback in the draft, and if they don't go that way, then getting one of those other quarterbacks in a trade with some other team. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited to, kind of just go excited and scared at the same time, I should say, not going in there like I have the last couple of years, because most of us would be able to read Elway and we'd know like, okay, he's going to go for a quarterback or he's going to go for a tight end or a wide receiver. So going in and we don't know what he's going to do and how we're going to react to it when it happens. And then, us coming on the air is just, it's exciting.
Yeah. Jason O'Neill, how much longer does he need? I've said for a while that I believe he gets the first 4 games. And the only reason I said 4 games is because that's like a quarter of the season. So you got a quarter of the season, 4 quarters. So I said 4 games. And I think it's the same thing for Shermer. Like if the offense is absolutely terrible and it's Shermer's fault and Locke's fault, they both have 4 games and then they're done. Do I think that the offense is going to be terrible? I hope not. I hope that all the stuff the Locke is doing in the offseason is going to help. I hope we get there. Shut up. Leave me alone. I hope that the offense is good. We just even if we had like an otherworldly defense with the amount of turnovers that Drew Lock had and when he had them at the absolute worst time, even if the defense is an all-world defense or an otherworld defense and they're on the field for 3 full quarters, still not going to be that good because they're tired. They can't be on the field that long. So if he can cut the interceptions in half, I'm happy.
And like I get that. I understand that he had like a lot going against him last year. Absolutely. I mean, it's incredibly tough, but he also had more turnovers than played games in his entire NFL career so far. He has 18 interceptions for 18 games, and that doesn't even include the fumbles. Yeah. So, man, he's got to really turn something around, especially with 59% completion percentage over his entire NFL career so far, which is still only 18 games, but that's not good. I don't care who you have you're throwing to, man. That's just not good.
Yeah, and it's I had a thought. Now I don't know where I was going with it. I can't remember where I was going to go. It was a good thought too, and now it's gone. It was something about. It was something about. It was trying to think, but nothing happened. It was something about turnovers, and now I don't remember where it went.
Yeah. Well, you know what? For me, like I said, I'm one of the biggest Drew Lock supporters on this program, and for me,
there are 4 of us.
Yeah,
you're 6'10". You are the biggest.
Hey, your first round for turning down that first round for Deshaun Watson that earlier, that turned out to be a good call.
that was
well, I'm not claiming victory on that because never say never until the whistle rings for the September. But for me, Drew Lock, whether he really shows improvement, studying with Peyton Manning and getting to know whatever offensive players come in from the draft or trade or what have you by the time September rolls around, for me, it's pretty much do or die. Because if Drew Lock goes in there and he plays even worse than he did last year, and it's going to be really hard for me to sit in this chair in this spot come January and say, hey, give this guy another chance. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to be with, walk on the other side with Mike and stand there and say, hey, man, you got to go.
Albert, Mike's wife is expecting their 6th child. So come the end of the year.
That's where all my memories go.
He's going to be speaking gibberish. We won't understand a word the wizard says.
Jason O'Neill, I keep hearing Bridgewater to the Broncos. Is Bridgewater really going to push Lock enough? I don't believe Bridgewater goes anywhere without restructuring that contract because that is a big old pill to swallow if you're wanting to get him.
And he's not trying to be a backup either. He hadn't enjoyed his backup days with New Orleans. So
that's the only chance he's going to get is being a backup anywhere. I don't know if there's – well, yeah. I mean, everybody has a quarterback now, right? So, I mean, unless a lot of people have thought that they're probably just going to cut him eventually because no one's trading for that contract like Mike was saying. And so maybe it'll be after the draft though. It'll be, we'll find out later. I don't think Peyton's going to make any moves quarterback wise until after the draft, until he finds out what he has,
including Driscoll.
Yeah,
probably.
Agreed. Can we just get rid of him?
I mean, like,
just
no why would
dead money? Just give him.
There's no point to
he's not going to play anyways.
Send him back to Detroit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Richie. Well, if we don't address right tackle and JJ goes down, then it isn't fair to Drew. Can't throw if you're not protected. I do think that right tackle will be addressed in the draft. My issue with that statement is Denver had a top 15 offensive line when Wilkinson was not in the starting lineup. So you can't really use offensive line after like the first 3 games to blame anything on Locke. So he had a pretty clean pocket. And once you had Dotson in there, wasn't it Bowles and Dotson didn't give up a sack all season?
Yep.
When they were both in.
That's
so right. I understand addressing it behind Juwan James, but you can't blame anything on the offensive line outside of Wilkinson from last year. So I don't think you really need to address the offensive line that much except for depth behind James.
Yeah, if that happens again, that's where Shermer comes in. You know, he has to try to implement a blocking tight end type of play to help out whoever the backup right tackle is should JJ go down.
Stonewall was actually asked directly about Juwan James today. Am I stepping on you, Boggins?
No.
Step all over it.
You're going to say exactly what I was going to say.
Right in his face.
I got some of that kids makeup all over my feet. He was asked directly about Juwan James. You know, what are your expectations of Juwan? He goes, he's been in the building working out. He looks great. Our expectations are that he plays very well. So that was good to hear.
Yeah, and he did talk about the first. When they asked about the offensive line, he said that they had a lot of potential and that they would just like to address depth. And he said he liked a lot of the potential in the draft in the first 3 rounds. And then he said, and then there's some other guys, later on too. But like it seemed that was the only like telltale thing that I think he kind of gave away is that there's specifically some tackle prospects that he likes in the first 3 rounds. So I definitely think it's going to be addressed. You
can at least give it to James that when he does play, he is one of the better right tackles in the NFL. I'd give him top 5, maybe more. So I mean, he is a really good right tackle when he plays. So I mean, it's not like we don't have a good right tackle on the roster, and we're paying him a lot of money. I didn't want to get rid of Dotson personally, but
another interesting thing that Stonewall said, and he was really asked about in regards to some of the potential draftees, but they were the ones that opted out. And this actually applies to Juwan because he was praising how well he looked and what kind of shape he was in, is that he was amazed that when he would go to some of these pro days, that some of these people that opted out were in bad shape, and that guys that were playing showed up in much better shape. He's like, these guys had all year to get ready. And here they are, overweight, out of shape at these pro days. He goes, that's a telling sign. So, but the fact that he complimented what James looked like, I think, says a lot about that. I'm cautiously optimistic, skeptically optimistic. We're going to try to get that working too. We're trying to get anything to stick tonight, I think.
Shadow Jacker, the host of MHRT After Hours. Sup, boys?
After dark.
Huge step forward for whatever. After dark, after hours, pounded hour, whatever you want to call it. I don't care.
Pounded hour.
Adult Swim. Huge step forward for Drewski this season. I see it. # Drew Clues. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. And again, I hope that everything that he's doing in the offseason helps him to figure it out this next season. The one thing that angers me so much is like, why didn't he do this last offseason? Like, I understand that there were limitations as to like who you could have met with, but at the same time, like you still could have worked on it yourself. Like bring someone into your house, they meet with people in a certain location. Like why wasn't this addressed last year? That's what angers me so much. But I hope that everything he's doing in the offseason is going to help him figure it out. I do. Do I think that it's going to make him a top 10 quarterback? No. But if he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. That's fine. I think he can be a good quarterback. I don't know if he can be great. He hasn't shown it yet.
What Drew can't do, Fields can do.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
I hope one of the QBs falls to us at 9 so we can trade back with New England and get the 15th pick. and receive an additional second and maybe fifth. Get JOK. Oh, get JOK. Wait.
Yeah. Get JOK in the 15th.
So you're saying a QB falls to 9 and then New England trades up to 9 and takes a QB and we get the 15th?
Yeah.
15
to JOK. Would JOK go that high at 15, or would you rather have a tackle like a Darisaw or a Tevin Jenkins?
Maybe Tevin Jenkins. Probably that's a good spot for JOK. It's just about placement for him. He's going to be one of those weird ones where it's going to be like, see how far. It's kind of like Derwin James when he came out, and he was kind of like, people didn't know where to put him, and he kept falling, and he fell down to 17, where the Chargers picked him up. It's kind of like that. I could see that happen with JOK.
The Chargers knew where to put him.
Yeah,
in the IR.
I'm curious, Kenneth, are you saying that any of the QBs are there, or are you saying specifically one QB is there? Because
you said one of the QBs falls.
So I love Kenneth's scenario if it's Mac Jones, and that's what's left with us. I would love that. You could even package our two number 2s at that point, the Patriots and the Broncos second round pick, and move back up to get that tackle in the back of the first round and have the 5-year contract. Yep. That would be fantastic. So
Glenn, I know that you watched the entire Paton presser. Was there anything in the presser that you were curious about, that you picked up on, anything that you learned from, or was it just a straight, we already knew that, a whole lot of said a lot and said nothing at the same time? There's your answer.
I think I kind of illustrated some of the points that some of my takeaways, but so he was asked about trading up. Have you had any instances or discussed trading up? And they just asked about, they didn't specify which pick. And he said, like, if you're going to trade up to number 4, we're not going to make that call until, he specifically referenced number 4, which I thought was kind of interesting. Because I think if you're going to move up, he's going to go for it. He's going to, sell the farm, or, so
he just moves up to 2. What if Paton has been so stonewall this whole entire time? You think he's super patient, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's up at 2. And you're like, what's happening?
I was thinking about this too, and I'm sorry, Kenneth, is how satisfied do you think Sam Darnold is right now? He's now with the Panthers. He wins the last few games, knocks the Jets out of the first spot, kills their chances at Trevor Lawrence, and now gets a new home where he's actually going to be wanted, I think. So he's got to be just absolutely so satisfied at this point.
Kenneth Booker, 6'10". What percentage of people have a refrigerator with a filthy top? Hashtag all people knowledge. I think mine does. I don't know if I've cleaned it in a while.
I think he's on the phone. That's fine.
He saw it. He knew what was going on.
He's calling Maytag.
I'm sorry. What happened?
We brought up Kenneth's question. What percentage of people have a refrigerator with a filthy top?
Filthy top.
Yeah, like top of the refrigerator because you're tall, so you can see it.
Oh,
we're all short and we can't see it.
I thought you were talking about my mini fridge here.
I could see that one.
No, you're 6'10", and we're not. So, like, how many people have a dirty top of their fridge because we can't see it?
We're trying to say that no one else has a microwave that high up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm the only one that could reach it without having to step on my tippy toes.
I can't see what number it is.
Yeah,
I know. I'd have to get a step stool for my hot pocket.
Add 1 minute.
Add 1 minute. Yeah. It's probably, I don't know, 60%. Because whenever I walk by and I see it dirty, I just grab a rag and clean it.
Shadowjacker, Mac Jones doesn't move the needle for me besides the fact he has chemistry with Judy. I'm the opposite. I'm high on Mac Jones. I like Mac Jones. I mean,
Mac Jones has gotten so much love from these analysts, except for Boggins.
And everyone is like, oh, but who is he play? He was playing with NFL level talent. What do you think people in the NFL are? NFL talent. So that doesn't make any sense.
He also ran the most like RPOs out of any of the top QB prospects besides maybe Trevor Lawrence.
Which is what people have been asking Denver to do, like run our field. So I'm just, I like the guy, but I don't know if I like him outside of Shermer. I don't know. I don't think he has the highest upside of any college quarterback coming out of the draft this year, but I think he's being a little underrated, undervalued. I'm sorry, I just do.
You know what? I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if the Niners take him at 3. It wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know diddly squat about any of these quarterbacks, but I'm gonna put my money with Boggan's faith. And if Boggan doesn't like Mac Jones in Denver, then I don't like Mac Jones in Denver.
How's 6'10" getting a Mustang?
Oh, it's easy. You just push the seat all the way back and you lean backwards,
remove
from
the
a certain
steering wheel.
angle. And from a certain angle, it looks like the car is driving itself, like Kit from Knight Rider. So it's pretty cool. But you should see the look on people's faces when I get out of that thing. It's hilarious.
Oh, look, we got a spam in our comments. Get out of here.
Good Lord.
Want to become famous? Buy followers and viewers. That's going to get you in trouble. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Kenneth Booker, I would take Mac Jones in the second round supplemental draft.
There's a supplemental draft.
We're gonna end the podcast on that. No, in your honest and because this is going to be the last full MHRT podcast before the draft. So, in your estimation, what do you actually think the Broncos are going to do in the first round of the draft?
And anyone that's in the comments stream, if you could throw
your comments in there too. What do you think Denver's going to do? You know what, Johnny? Hashtag Godfather. There, I said it. He keeps putting that in there. What do you think Denver's going to do with the first round pick? Trade up, stay, or trade back?
I think they're going to stay.
At 9?
Yeah, I think they're going to stay at 9. The only way they jump is if Justin Fields is there at 4 or 5. And, it's kind of like deal or no deal type of thing. But my guess is that the Broncos are going to hold steady at 9 and more than likely get either Micah Parsons, roll the dice with him, or get any one of the other linebackers that fancy Peyton's taste.
Now, are there any other linebackers that could go at 9? I mean, I don't think Parsons goes at 9, but are there even any linebackers that go that high? I know there's a bunch between like 20 and like the middle of the second round that are all pretty even, but
it'll depend on who wants to take a swing on Micah. As far as like the off the field issues are obviously the biggest part about it. I don't think there's going to be a linebacker any higher than 15. Actually, I think he'll probably fall quite a bit. So, but we'll see. As far as what the Broncos are going to do, it just really depends on what the Niners do. Honestly, if they pick Mac Jones, that opens
on like Donkey Kong.
That opens up a lot of things. So, and then the Falcons, because the Falcons could swing, and it's such a loaded QB draft that any of these top 10 teams or whatever, theoretically, besides the obvious ones, could be like, well, they fell to me, and I'm just gonna let him sit for a couple years and learn, and have the franchise right there. But I think the least odds is that they stay put. Actually, I think they're either going to move up or trade back and recoup. So that's my guess. I don't know. It could be anything. Like Peyton said, well, we could stay put. There's some good players there, or hey, we could move up, or hey, we could also move the opposite of up, which is down.
Wait, who said that?
Peyton.
Whoever I was doing an impression of, probably
Stonewall.
Stonewall.
Come on, we gotta like.
This is my impression of Stonewall.
Jerry Holland, Parsons are moved down. Chris says trade back. Kenneth Booker, I think they miss out on the quarterbacks and select Rashawn Slater.
So Jerry and Chris, if you could expound, then who's the player if they do that, right? So So I think
we use small words in this podcast.
That's a 2-syllable word.
That's
It's
too
a
big.
bowel wound.
1.5 is as big as you go.
Those Nebraska public schools are something. I'm with Boggins. If the Niners pick Mac Jones, which everybody is suggesting, I am certain the Broncos will move up to 4 or 5 for a quarterback.
Yeah, Field or Lance.
Yep.
Let's see. Shadow Jacker, fall back and stack. Where's my Pringles at?
Cupcakes and Pringles.
Yeah. Chad. Good evening, fellas. 1 week to go. Yes. What's up, Chad? Josh Griffin. What do you guys think we do if Pitts is on the board at 9?
Ooh.
He's definitely the you got Boggins' attention now. He's definitely the best player available if he's still there.
That's my one weakness probably.
I think you just messed up his ulcer there, John.
My question is, why is Pitts at 9? Like, if Pitts falls to 9, why?
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see him falling to 9, but can you imagine if we got Pitts and Drew Lock still was terrible?
No, don't jinx.
I'm not commenting on that.
Why do I think Boggins? Why do I think Boggins is going to be that meme where he's walking with his fiance, but he's looking over and there's Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, you could legitimately bring Peyton back out of retirement, and he would be legit with that roster. That's hilarious.
Bob Skinner, stay and get a kicker. Yeah.
Mike's on that same realm, Bob.
I kept wanting to get the Duffy. Was it Duffy?
the Kentucky
Duffy
punter.
from Kentucky.
I don't know.
Kentucky punter.
McManus kind of owns the team right now, or something. He's pretty.
His name from now on and forever is McMahon Junk. So, because he sucks.
Junk.
McMahon Junk. I don't like him.
Okay.
He sucks. I don't like McManus. He can kick well, but that's it. He's a jerk.
Okay. He's on the podcast next week, by the way.
Cross him off of my list of people to contact.
And I think it's the same thing as what Boggins and Adon and all of you said. Like it depends on what the Niners do at 3. I'm going to go under the assumption that the Niners are going to take Mac Jones, and so under that assumption, Denver moves up to 4.
Come on, baby.
If they take any of the other quarterbacks, Lance or Fields, I don't think Denver stays at 9. I think they trade back to maybe 15, 20. And that's where they'd go get like a Tevin Jet, like a tackle, or if they go any farther back, maybe a Jamin Davis.
Mm-hmm. I've been mistaken before, though, where I thought that we were going to pick Dwayne Haskins at 10. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Dwayne Haskins fell to us. That's crazy. And then we're like, just kidding. Let's trade back.
Yeah.
And wait for no
tight ends.
I appreciate the
Jerry Holland, I want that inside linebacker, but I'd also like to see us stack up some picks because I believe that Shermer's still going to use those additional picks on amazing players.
I will tell you right now, there's more than one round in the NFL draft. I've heard.
I think you're going to get
there's a lot of good linebackers.
You're going to get more value out of linebacker in the second round than you are in the first. Because I think in the first, if you take an inside linebacker anytime before pick 20, you're way overvaluing that linebacker. Because even Micah Parsons, like, yeah, he's got a lot of talent, but he's not that good in pass coverage. And if he's in the wrong system, I don't think he's going to do as well as if it was Micah Parsons at Denver, I think Jamin Davis would do better in Denver than Micah Parsons would.
Look at Isaiah Simmons last year. He was like touted to be insane, like just do whatever as far as linebacker, a crazy hybrid or whatever. What happened? Like, you know what I mean? It just depends on the system you're put into.
Yeah, that was that Vance Joseph system
too. Yeah. You know what? One of the things Peyton was talking about too is they asked him about the Vikings always collecting picks and how many selections they had, and he used the term, the more darts you have, the easier it is to hit the bullseye. He goes, we have this many picks this year. What if 3 of them pan out? That's terrible. But if you have 10 or 12 picks, it was just kind of an interesting look at some of the strategy that they had. Someone described it as the barbell draft, where they were heavy up front, little bit in the middle, And then heavy at the end of the draft. So.
Well, Boggins has got to go. So bye, Boggins. We're going to hop off too, but go ahead and go if you need to go.
All right.
Bye, Boggins.
Bye, guys.
We can go on without your
next week.
Nancy.
Go Broncos. See you in the draft.
I like Kenneth's idea, by the way. If you could pull his comment up.
The last one?
No, the second to last one.
This one?
Yeah.
I've been scouring the internet for a Zach Wilson, Laramie Tunsil photo, so he falls to us at 9. I don't think there are any of those.
We could get one. We could make one.
It's the day is still young.
Man, he's on fire today. Every time I'm around Micah Parsons, I wear 2 belts on my pants. I think Kenneth is turning into Mark.
Pretty much.
Chad asking a question about the press conference today. Any takeaways from the press conference today? Any slip of the tongue of what's going on with the Broncos? Thanks. No, that's why we're calling him Stonewall, because he says a lot without saying anything. So
Chad, it's still worth watching on the Broncos Facebook page. It's like 22 minutes. It's the guy is a fascinating individual, and he really operates in a different fashion than Elway. You know, one of the things also he was asked, so you were asking about takeaways, is he was asked about contracts for, you know, if they've thought about picking up the 5th-year option on Chubb and also Cortland's contract. And he said, those are our guys. Those are our guys. But right now we're focused on the draft. That's something that we would address after the draft. But he kept reiterating that those are core players for the Broncos. So you weren't hearing you never heard Elway talk about that, because rarely did he ever fall through by keeping someone past the rookie deal, regardless of who that person was. So that was another good takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Ann Rivera, Parsons at pick 9 makes the most sense if all the QBs are gone. Honestly, if all the quarterbacks are gone, I think Denver trades back. I don't think they take anybody at 9. I know that there's people that are high on Parsons' talent, but honestly, the off-field stuff scares the crap out of me.
I'm really worried about
like there's people like, oh, well, what about Cam Newton's off-field issues? He got in trouble for possibly stealing a laptop. There's a big difference between possibly stealing a laptop and what Micah Parsons did. So,
I mean, he's lucky he didn't get arrested.
I don't know how he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
for me, it's a judgment thing. It's not about, do I think he's going to do the same thing in the pros? No, I don't think it's going to replicate. But if someone with that kind of potential, and I don't care how old you are, you're still being mentored in some fashion when you're playing for a Penn State, that you know, you have this path to the NFL. And when you're doing that to your own teammates, when Boggins was talking about someone taking a swing at on Micah, I was thinking that, you know, some of those people that he assaulted would probably want to take a swing at him. But I think there are too many other options that don't have those same red flags on the linebacker. Is he an incredible athlete? Of course. Yeah. It's just dangerous.
One of the reasons why we had such bad drafts, a bunch of years in a row with Elway is because Elway would take the most talented guy at the spot that was needed instead of drafting high character guys and the best player available, not just the best player at that position, which is why we've had good drafts the last 2, 3, 4 years, is because he's picking high character guys that are the best player available. I think at 9, Micah Parsons isn't even the best player available. I think there are better options at corner and better options at tackle that I would take, and even edge that I would take before you go with Micah Parsons.
Yeah. Another thing Elway did is he started picking and signing people who were captains on the teams. You know, just people that had the respect and had leadership, and that seemed to pan out. So. Yeah.
Well, we definitely want to thank everybody for joining us in the podcast. We're going to have to get ready to go. We got MHH getting ready to come on, and we don't want to be podcasting at the same time as them because, yeah. So,
Mike, let's do a quick recap of next week. So Sunday we have.
I'm getting there.
All right,
Jerry Holland, Kenneth Booker, Chad, Jason, Johnny, Jerry, Ann, Bob, Shadow Jacker, Chris Hernandez, Landon, ZW Doom. Thanks for the stupid message about buying followers. Rich,
guys,
Mark Langley,
3 more followers for $1,000.
I know, right? Now we're gonna get banned from YouTube. Vic, I want to thank every single one of you for joining us. It is awesome when you guys are all in here.
Oh, so fun.
We stream live every Thursday at 7654. You know where to put them. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe, follow, and share. And remember that next week with the draft going on, we're going to have a special episode of MHRT on Tuesday with Glenn and Boggins joining Orange Weekly's Kevin and Tanner here on MHRT's platforms. And we're going to do a live mock draft at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific. And then Broncos Talk is moving to Wednesday at the same time, 7654. And then we're going to have an MHRT podcast after the first round on Thursday. So we're going to be doing a live first round reaction. I'm going to guess it's 2 hours is what it normally takes for the first round. So I'm going to guess like 10 Eastern, 9 Central, somewhere in there is when we'll put out notifications that we're going live. But just make sure that you're paying attention to everything that's going on. That's why when you subscribe, you hit that notification bell so that you are alerted every time that we go live or we post something. So again, I want to thank you guys. Love you guys. Go Broncos. Mile high salute to everybody. And we will see you on Sunday with the very first live episode on the MHRT platforms of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. See you, everybody.
Bye.